If you're a plaintiff attorney or a law firm owner, I'm going to share something really special today. My name is Aman, CEO and co-founder of Casely. My co-founder Fahim, attorney, law firm owner, and chief product officer, and I have been working extremely hard for the past few months to build what we're going to showcase. Using our purpose-built AI, Fahim was able to increase his cases worked by almost 150% and reduce the time it took his team to get to a final complaint down by almost 83%. So what used to take 2 to 3 days is now taking him and his team only a few minutes. So let's jump in. Let's go straight into the actual product here. So what you're seeing is Casely AI. We start first with the matters view. So this is where we kind of start. This is the entry point of Casely. This is where we're going to go ahead and enter in our matter. So let's go ahead and start one here. This will be the matter view, and then we'll go ahead and name this John Norman. Now that we have the name, let's go ahead and start adding some context. Casely is all about sources. So the more we give sources for a particular matter, the better the responses are going to be. And as you can kind of see here, the demand letter and the complaint pleads, the higher quality of those generations will be as well. So let's go ahead and do that. We go to click on Add Files, and now we have the option here to either upload an entire folder or select individual files. So let's just go ahead and select a bunch of files here that we have for this particular matter. You can imagine in this stage of this particular case, we've just started, maybe we have an intake, and maybe a few initial documents from the client themselves. So let's go ahead and click on Open. It's going to go ahead and process the uploading here. So this is maybe a good tangent to talk about the security side of things. So what we just did is kind of crazy, right? We've uploaded really sensitive metadata over to a third party, right? To another vendor. This is where I want to kind of showcase the hard work that Fahim and I have done of making sure that our app is bulletproof. So every single piece of sensitive data here is encrypted and stored as unreadable text in the Casely database itself. So if you want to get technical, Casely uses the AES 256 CBC algorithm. This is an extremely powerful encryption algorithm that was developed by the US government. And Casely will only decode the information associated with your particular firm and your particular account. Even if someone were to get access to this database, everything is encrypted. It is all illegible. The only time that we'll actually decode these things is like you're seeing here. If I'm the actual owner of this data, we're going to go ahead and encrypt that and then send it to you so actually you can use the service. So we see here, if we click in, our documents are processing. They've uploaded. We can see the files here, and we actually see this is finished processing. We can see the intake here, and then we can see a personnel file. Now, of course, this one is also processing, so we'll go ahead and let that wrap up. But let's go ahead and proceed. So Casely provides value in two kind of major ways. The first is the chat experience, which will help us understand where a case is. It'll go ahead and digest all that content and then let us know about this particular case and where the matter is. The next that we have is the document generation flow. But let's go to start with the chat experience. So from here, I have all sources selected here, as you can see, but I can go ahead and choose a particular file if I wanted to just ask about a particular file individually. So in this case, let's go and make sure that all sources is clicked and then say, what is this case about? Let's say it's been some time, I'm now revisiting it, and I want to get caught up on what was going on with this matter when I first left it. So Casely is going to go ahead and read our files. It's going to go ahead and pull out citations and actually provide this response for us. So here we have Casely go ahead and returning to us a high-level summary of what this matter was all about. Now, I'm sure we all know that famous case that happened maybe a few years ago where a particular attorney used a ChatGPT generation, and the generation had a bunch of hallucinated cases that just were not existing in reality. The difference here, and hopefully you can see this right here, is that every single piece of text actually is cited with the citation. So if we click into the citation here, so we can see exactly where in this document the AI is actually grabbing the information from. So there's no chance of hallucination. As you can see, everything is peppered here with citations, so everything is factually correct. And then let's go ahead and drill deeper. Let's say, who is LexCorp in this case? So same thing, we have this interactive chat experience, and we can go ahead and catch us up on whatever happened with this particular matter. This could be useful while we're doing anything pre-lit, whether we're kind of further along in the litigation cycle and we just want to catch ourselves up. Here's where we can do that. Same thing here. In this particular case, we used 9 citations to generate this response. Great. So that's the chat flow. Let's jump over to the actual complaints, the actual document generation. Now this is, I think, where case study really shines, and this is where Fahim and I worked really hard to dial in our AI model. So Casely, using everything it knows about our particular matter, will go ahead and generate an actual document for us with all the correct citations and with all the correct formatting. So let's jump straight here into complaint plead. Let's go ahead and click on use this template. And what's going to happen, you'll see on the left-hand side here, we're in a chat view, but it looks a little bit different. And the reason why is, as you can see on the right-hand side here, we're actually streaming in now, not just a regular chat response, but we're actually streaming in a pre-formatted complaint. This complaint is correctly formatted and is essentially a few clicks away from being submitted to the actual courts and to proceed with litigation. We can see on the left-hand side here, we have a starter template, which kind of goes through what we'd like this complaint to be. And I'll show you if, in case your complaint takes a little bit different of form, how we can accommodate that. But as you see here, we have all the right pieces. We have our parties, our jurisdiction and venue, the exhaustion of administrative remedies. All of that is listed in here. We have the cause of actions. And as we go, Casey will go ahead and fill up this particular document. So we'll let Casey go ahead and finish this up. And then I'll quickly show you what transitions after Casey is done writing our initial complaint. While we're waiting for this complaint to generate, I just want to take this moment to kind of highlight a few other features of Casey as we've kind of built it out. One thing that we have is matter status. So this is a kind of a CRM-like feature that we'll have that lets you just quickly track individual matters if you wanted to put priority to them. The other is custom instructions here. This will be if you have anything that's kind of specific to this particular matter that you just want the AI to be aware of before you generate documents or before you generate more chat threads. So now that Casey is done streaming in our complaint, we can see here on the right-hand side that it's transitioned over into a Microsoft Word style experience. Before we dive deeper into that, I want to showcase the left-hand side here. Just like we saw with our chat threads, Casely, for its document generation, will also deeply cite everything. So again, there's no chance of hallucination here, because we're deeply embedding all the citations into the generated document. So our particular document has all the facts it needs to generate itself. So let's go and take a look at the actual complaint that was generated. So you'll see first right here, we have our law firm information. So I'll dig into where this comes from, but Casey is able to understand your firmographic information and put that into a letterhead. And we see here, we have a nicely formatted cover sheet for our complaint. And all of the sections that we instructed Casey to write for us are all here. And if you notice, the numbering is also correct for everything here. And jumping into the features, we have a few formatting tools as well. If I wanted to drag a particular statement, rearrange things if I wanted to, I could do that. If we wanted to highlight certain things, italicize, we can do that here. If we also wanted to, for example, change line spacing, text casing, all of that is also here. And we have margins. So in case we wanted to just format our output a little bit more, we have that granularity here without having to jump into Microsoft Word. So we go ahead and finish up this complaint. We have our cause of actions here. Casey's done a good job of identifying the cause of actions and listing them out here, referencing the correct government codes. If we scroll down to the bottom here, we have our prayer for relief, and we have our nicely formatted signature block here all ready to go. So let's say it's ready to go. Let's go ahead and export this document. We have a few formats for output. We have standard document and we have pleading paper. Let's go ahead and export that pleading paper. So we export to docx here. We'll see that file gets downloaded. And let's go ahead and open up that file. So we see here, this is that exact same document here. We've got pleading paper on the left. We have those correctly numbered paragraphs here. And as well, we can go all the way down to our bottom, and then we have our signature block as well. Again, all nicely formatted, all ready to go. We can export this as a PDF and then actually get this process started. That's a complaint for Casely. As you saw, it took maybe a handful of seconds to get those files uploaded, and then within a matter of minutes, we have here a finished docx file with the complaint ready to go. So let's go ahead and jump back. And like we said, maybe there's more things that you have in your pre-lit phase as far as documents go. Another common thing that we'll reach for is a demand letter. So let's go ahead and see how that looks like. We have a demand letter template here. Let's go ahead and click on use this template. And again, very simple workflow. We have this side-by-side chat view. Again, Casely is going to go ahead and write the document using its citation for what it knows about this particular matter. And we'll see the same thing here. The response will be streamed in. While it's streaming in, we can't edit it. So we'll have to wait for the generation to finish. Once it finishes, we'll be able to go ahead and make our edits here on the fly before we export out our docx. Great. Now that our demand letter has finished streaming in, we see now we've transitioned back over to our Microsoft Word style editor. And similar thing here, we have the demand letter nicely formatted and ready to go. So again, let's say we feel good about where we're at now. We're going to go ahead and export this to the docx. And you'll see this time we have standard document selected. So let's go ahead and click on export. We get that file downloaded. And you see right here, we have that demand letter printed and ready to export here. One thing I want to call out before we transition to a little bit more of the product is that everything you see here, from the chat titles to the files that are uploaded to the prompts and the documents themselves, this is all internal to Casely. There is no third-party AI provider that we're phoning home to that may be stealing your data. The buck stops with Casely, the data stops here, and like we said, everything is all encrypted. So we're trying to create an extremely secure environment so you can feel comfortable to leverage this software. Let's jump into a bit more of the product. Let's say you have more documents in that pre-litigation phase. Let's say you want to generate a letter of representation and you don't see that template here on Casely. Well, if we jump over into our bottom menu here and we go into templates, this is where I can go ahead and add those in. Now, of course, as Casely continues to develop, Fahim and myself are going to keep adding in more documents that are highly fine-tuned. But just in case you have a particular document that you'd like to add, the Add Template button is where we can do that. So here's where you can customize exactly what you want, and Casely will generate that document, again, using the entire system. For reference, you can take a look at our existing templates here to see how you format something similar. Same thing, once you add a template, you can choose what your output format is going to be. And of course, we have a document type. Again, we'd like to expand this over time so we have more fine-tuned templates, but for the time being, we have a generalized default one in case it doesn't quite fit what we currently have. While we're exploring some of the other features here, you might have noticed that in this particular document and the complaint that we generated that I mentioned, the firmographic information, where that can be set. So if I, again, jump into my bottom menu here and go into settings, this is where I'll have my firmographic information. So here I can put my SBN if I needed to. I can put the firm address, the firm name, and whatever other details I need to flesh out my documents. So that's been Casely in a nutshell. Like we said, we've been working hard for the past few months to get it to this stage, and of course there's much more work to go. But one thing I want to call out is that Casely is here for the long run. Fahim is a law firm owner himself. He is an attorney, and we've been building this project jointly for the past few months and deployed it to his particular law firm. So it's very much a practice what you preach type of product. So with your help, and obviously as time goes, we hope that Casely becomes more and more useful for attorneys. So hopefully that was useful, and if you'd like to learn more, please visit casely.ai. Thanks.